What is happening, Minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today as I take a look at some of these recent Marvel trades from Marvel Comics. So please stay tuned. Now, before I get started, I want to give a huge thank you to David Gabriel and all the fine folks at Marvel for sending us copies of these trade paperbacks. All of these have recently come out in the last couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, these two and this one right here come out today. But just want to remind you all that also this book's X-Men Second Coming, The Milestone, which I did an overview of last week, was pushed back until today. We got some thick books here, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start today with The Amazing Spider-Man, Threats and Menaces. This is Volume 8 of the Nick Spencer run. Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley, because those are the two creators that have mainly been with the book since it relaunched. This book retails for $17.99, and we'll talk about the contents here in a second. Let's open it up. Here's all the previous release collections. This is the only way that the book is available in collected editions. There's no oversized hardcover, there's no omnibus, there's no complete collections. But I know a lot of you have been asking, when are they going to continue the oversized hardcovers? At this moment, I don't know. And I don't know if they're going to make one. And that's an honest answer. So this is a pretty funny book. I read this last week when it came in, because I think my favorite part about this, and this is not a spoiler, but J. Jonah Jameson, one of Spider-Man's biggest arch nemesis, but a lovable character, right? He has a new career now. He has a podcast, and his first guest on the podcast is, of course, his arch nemesis, The Amazing Spider-Man. I was a big fan of The Fix by Nick Spencer, so I know the guy can write a lot of comedy, and his voice really suits this book. It's funny. It's a little wordy at times, and I know this is not a review of the book, but it's a little wordy at times. I say that as I turn to this page right here that only has one word bubble, but it's a lot of fun. Now, we have in the background the character of, well, Chance is back, obviously, but there's a character that has been appearing since Nick Spencer took over the book. It's a new character, and his name is Kindred. We still don't know what his ties are to Spider-Man, but he is pulling a bunch of the strings here. There's also some returning characters that died a while back, of course, because it's comic books. And we'll turn to the back here to look at the extras. There's Jack-O-Lantern. Love that guy. You know, it's ridiculous, right? He has a pumpkin for a head, but I don't care. I think he was still a cool version of the Hobgoblin. So this particular volume collects issues 37 through 43 of Amazing Spider-Man, the new series. And sometimes the variants are on the opposite side of the standard edition covers. I did want to say that before we look in the back for extras. Now looking at the variant covers, of course censoring the last page. All of this leading into issue number 50. So here's some variants back here. So here's one that a lot of people have been asking me about, and that is Spider-Man the Gauntlet, the Complete Collection Volume 2. And a lot of you all thought that this was going to get canceled. Where was this? It got delayed, and because of everything going on with the pandemic, of course, this got delayed. So when does this take place? Well, this is during the Brand New Day era of Spider-Man. So after One More Day, we had Brand New Day. And One More Day kind of restarted the Spider-Man books. And there was a brain trust of creators that wrote Spider-Man on a weekly basis. So you had people like Mark Waid, Bob Gale, that's right, Bob Gale, the guy that wrote Back to the Future, Dan Slott, Fred Van Lente, and Mark Guggenheim. I think those were the original 5, and they stuck with the book for about a year and a half. So we have enough, honestly, for a couple of omnis, but hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But we kick it off with this awesome story right here. And this one is written by Roger Stern, it's drawn by Lee Weeks, and it's pretty much the rematch of the Juggernaut versus Spider-Man. And Roger Stern's the guy that wrote the original story, so it's a really nice throwback to his storylines. And then afterwards, we have a couple of chapters of him fighting different villains from his past. Perhaps the return of one particular villain that committed suicide a long time ago. Maybe, maybe not. If you have not read it, I'm not going to spoil that for you. With a lot of different artists. The one that, of course, besides Lee Weeks that stood out to me is Chris Bachalo. And he's the one that did this one here. The Lizard storyline back here. So what does this collect? This collects Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 627 to 637. Grim Hunt, The Craven Saga #1. Amazing Spider-Man presents Black Cat, 4-issue miniseries, and material from Web of Spider-Man 6 through 7. I always have to make sure I cut out the parts where too much picture of a spoiler are shown. Let's look at the extras. So we have some villain variants back here. Oh, Heroic Age variants. Oh, these are so awesome. I didn't know they were by Lionel Francis Yu. I guess I should have read that. Because I thought it was Gabriel Delotto. Jeffrey Scott Campbell, Black Cat. And then cover inks here. And then original pages. There's also some returning characters here from the Clone Saga. By the way, one thing I didn't say was the book retails for $44.99 and has 504 pages. Now here's a book that my daughter Lydia is going to review sometime in the upcoming weeks. For ages 10 and plus, this is one of their graphic novel lines. This is Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, Spider-Women. Just to make a quick size comparison, this is the graphic novel line, the dimensions of it, because this book retails for $9.99. Usually it's geared to a younger audience. But this stuff right here is pretty interesting because this isn't new material, it's reprinted material. And this one in particular reprints the materials that collect the first appearances of the Spider Ladies. So you have Jessica Drew right here. You have the first appearance of her new costume. You have the Spider Girl, and I'm not going to reveal who that is because I love this. And luckily the complete collections are still coming out. Maybe one day we'll get this Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends omnibus, because it rightly deserves it. It was the best book out of the M2 universe. And then you have Silk, #2. So this collects Spider-Woman 1 and 2. That's the series from 1978. What If, #105. And then Silk, #2. And Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, #13. 112 pages. And no sign of my Spider-Girl that I love, Spider-Woman rather, and that is Miss Carpenter. Maybe in another volume. Because I think they have a separate one for Spider-Gwen. Let's see if there's anything extra. So we have a Silk #1 variant, and then some other variants back here in the back. And then other Spider-Verse titles. Yeah, there's the Spider-Gwen one. And I think there's one for Miles. Yeah, I just saw that a second ago. Of course there is. For all those spine watchers, here you go. You can pause the video here, but don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We put out videos every day. And here we have a Marvel Epic Collection, one that was supposed to come out, I think, in May. And that is Star Wars The Empire, Volume 6, retailing for $44.99. Continuing to reprint the Dark Horse era of Star Wars. And here we have all the other Star Wars Epic Collections. This is part of the Star Wars Legends line. And Legends usually means it's the older stuff that's being reprinted either by Dark Horse or by Marvel Original Comics. And I think there's over 30 volumes by now of just Star Wars Epic Collections. So Volume 6, here are all the wonderful talent that went into making this book. John Ostrander, of course, the gentleman from Suicide Squad and Grimjack, and he also wrote some Star Wars comics. And of course, the artist right there, Stefan Rauch. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And let's go down here. I think with this, I at least have an easier time pronouncing. I'm so horrible with names. You have Mark Beasley, Maya Loy, Lisa Montalbano, Joe Hosting, Jennifer Grunwald, Jeff Youngquist, Mike Hansen. Did the research. The layout is Jeff York. The book designer is Stacy Zucker. And you have David Gabriel. And then there's a special thanks. I love when Marvel does this. Special thanks to Robert Simpson and Lucasfilm and Deidre Hansen. Over to the right, you have the table of contents, what pages are included in here. You have the previously on Star Wars Empire, what happened last time. And then you have the character of, what is his name? Jahan Cross, I think. I've only read a couple of issues in here because this is an era of Dark Horse comics that I was not familiar with, and Marvel is going through the entire catalog, reprinting everything in chronological order. So this particular volume collects Star Wars Agent of the Empire, Iron Eclipse. It's a 5-issue miniseries. The Agent of the Empire Hard Targets, also another 5-issue miniseries. Star Wars The Force Unleashed graphic novel, the one from 2008 and the one from 2010. And then material from Star Wars Tales 11 and 15 and A Decade of Dark Horse #2. So who is Jahan? That's his name. Jahan Cross. And what ties does he have to Han Solo back there? Well, Han Solo knows everybody in the galaxy. Of course he knows Jahan. So this particular volume and all of the Empire literally takes place after Episode 3, for those of you that are not familiar. And I think Empire, if I'm not mistaken, because I used to have it, Volume 1 was the very first Star Wars epic. I could be mistaken, but I thought it was Empire Volume 1. And there's 6 of those, and they're all pretty much standalone stories. All you have to know is that, well, I'm sorry, there is a continuing story arc happening, but you really don't need to read a lot of the previous storylines to understand what's happening here. You just have to know just the basics of the movies. But showing off just the different art styles that are in here. Of course, you have I remember that Darth Vader played a big role in Empire Book 1. And this book has 480 pages in it. I think in the back here, at least, yeah, right here. So back here it says these stories take place between episodes 3 and 4. Just letting everybody know. Let's go look in the back here. So here's the Star Wars The Force Unleashed introduction. Of course, censoring that final page. This is a variant cover. And then the letters page. And then this book right here, Star Wars Legends. Tales of the Jedi Volume 1. I think that one comes out sometime in November, December. And last on today's list is X-Men Reloaded. The infamous Chuck Austen run on X-Men. Would I buy an omnibus? You're damn right I would. But this finishes out Chuck Austen's run, and for those people that want to put this in chronological order, here's where it fits in. So this is the first Chuck Austen collection right here, Unstoppable, Trials of the Juggernaut, and it all wraps up here with Reloaded right before, or right around the time that X-Men Reload by Chris Claremont came out. See? There's enough material for an omnibus right there. All of this, trade paperback right here. This is called The Bright and Morning. So this is volume 6 of the Chuck Austen series. All of this is now found in these pages. So this leads into the Peter Milligan complete collection as well. We also need to finish out that run. I think volume 1 came out a couple of years ago. We don't have a volume 2 yet. So this kicks off with Uncanny X-Men 437. The She Lies with Angels storyline. The story that a modern day Romeo and Juliet, no. Just look at this wonderful artwork by Salvador Larroca. Actually, I really like this time of Salvador Larroca's artwork. I was a fan of his art. And, oh, okay. So really important because, let's talk about the contents. This collects Uncanny X-Men 437 to 443. Wrapping up his run before Chris Claremont takes over the book with issue 444, The End of History. And then Chuck Austen takes over after Grant Morrison's New X-Men. So this collects New X-Men 155 to 156, wrapping up those storylines. And New X-Men is then again renamed to X-Men. Gets a little confusing, but I promise I'm going to do an X-Men reading order sometime later, probably December. Or leaving it up to the Patreons to vote for it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to vote for an updated X-Men reading order, including the trade paperbacks. So it gets renamed to X-Men, so this also collects X-Men 157 to 164, wrapping up Chuck Austen's run. Wrapping up all his storylines, all his characters, like Nurse Annie, Sammy the Fish Boy, what happens with them. Who is the new Zorn? That's right, he introduces a new Zorn. Who is he? Is he really the old Zorn? Because if you read Grant Morrison's run, you know Zorn is not really Zorn. And I know that might be confusing to anybody that has not read it, but I have to be as vague as possible, because somebody might want to read this for the first time. This book has 416 pages and retails for $39.99. There is... I forgot that he used Nocturne. Where's she been? I love that character. She's from the Exiles. I actually genuinely got excited. I love that character. And she hasn't shown up since, I think, New Excalibur, if I'm not mistaken. Please, somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong. So last time we saw Nocturne in New Excalibur by Chris Claremont. But this new team, when he took over New X-Men and then renamed X-Men, but he had Gambit, Rogue, Iceman, Wolverine, Havoc, Juggernaut, and my girl Lorna Dane, Polaris. And there is, for some reason, I've always loved this angle, and I love this drawing by Salvador Larroca of Storm in her greenhouse. And one thing to keep in mind is between all of this, we had House of M and Decimation. So a lot of these stories take place after Decimation, towards the end of his run, which is when a lot, if not most, mutants got depowered, and then there's only 198 mutants left with powers. And of course, most of them happen to be X-Men. So let's take a look here in the back for some extras. Okay, we're not going to look in the back for extras because there are no extras in the back. This is just pure 416 pages of Chuck Austen goodness. Or Salvador La Roca. Believe it or not, some of these... Oh, there is a cover that he did here too, Salvador La Roca, with Emma Frost, if I'm not mistaken, and Cyclops. Like her back is fake. That one, yes! That's an awesome cover. How did she keep that top up? Anyway, where was I? Believe it or not, that's what I was going to say. Some of these trade paperbacks have been out of print for years and go for a lot of money. Now, you can just toss those aside or give them to a family member, your grandmother, your cousin, and just get the complete collection here of X-Men Reloaded. Now, you can purchase any of these books from our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you Minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the page count and the contents of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you are picking up. If you're hoping for a Chuck Austen X-Men Omnibus, I'm serious, 100%, I would buy it. If you're hoping for a brand new day omnibus coming out, or maybe a Gauntlet omnibus, oversized hardcovers, I'd love to know all those comments down below. What do you think of the Star Wars Epic Collections? Is that the way that you are collecting them? And then maybe hoping one day they'll get a Nick Spencer omnibus or the return of the Amazing Spider-Man oversized hardcovers? Or if you guys are just happy with trades. I know a bunch of my viewers are just trade buyers, and I think that's awesome. As long as we get to read these in collected edition, I'm the same way. And at this moment, I just want to remind you all to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. We put out videos every day, sometimes two. Ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We can be found on Redbubble and on Patreon. Those are great ways to support the channel. We have different tiers for Patreon with different rewards. So if you want to check that out, all of that information is in the description down below. And more importantly, please everybody stay healthy, stay safe out there, and much love to all of you.